Okay, I think we're ready to start. Welcome to Plenary 15 for the July 1st Social Business Day festivities. The plenary session now that's happening is the Social Business Research Collaboration and Funding conversation. It's a very important conversation. A lot of our academics, a lot of students are interested in this conversation. So we are really, really honored to have all the esteemed academics here. We're also joined by Professor Yunus, who would like to share some welcoming remarks. And so I welcome Professor Yunus to kindly make your welcome remarks for this session.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome to Social Business Day. This is slightly different than previous Social Business Day. This time we have been adding academia conferences in quite a concentrated way. And we are very happy that everybody around the world, those who are involved in the social business academia world, responded very warmly. And as a result, we have sessions, we have country forums, we had the regional forums on the academia. So today, the plenary, we have a special topic with the collaboration and funding. These are the two issues, key issues in any research. It's always a problem with social business because it's a new word, new terminology, not many funders have it in their policy paper. So they said, well, it's not in our policy, sorry, we can't do it. So just like any administrator, they have to look at their policy paper, what they can do. So this is something we have to break. We have to get into their policy issues, that it is something very important to put on the top rather than not appear in the list. This is one issue. And second issue I want to bring to your attention, that the pandemic is an overwhelming issue, submerges everything else. All other issues get submerged under this pandemic issue. So that's created a massive dislocation in people's lives. While it's doing that, it also created a new eagerness about what can be done, what we did wrong. And it created probably, I would not say hunger, but at least attention to understand what social business is. Because this is the only thing which can work very effectively under the circumstances of the pandemic to reorganize people's lives and make a start in making it do. So you can design your research proposal, keeping this in mind that this is a strong way of addressing the problems which is generated through pandemic. And this is something that we cannot walk away from. Social business can be a very effective tool to do that and take this opportunity to revise their policy paper, that this has to be included in that policy paper because this is such an important thing to do. So it's up to us to design the research projects in a way that they can see that this is a very effective tool to apply in these circumstances. I don't have to elaborate that. You know much better than me where social business can be effective to your organizations or your university, where you have your research team waiting for these clearances. The second point I want to draw your attention. We just launched the 30 clubs for the young people, and the young people who will be solving their own problems. They will provide the leadership. That's a basic theme of the 30 club. 30 club itself may be very interesting for the research funders and also associations. It's a research affiliations, research combinations that we want to create, collaboration that we want to create. So this is another aspect that if you want to get involved with the youth issues, about the issue of solving the problem in their own way, taking charge of the situation. This may interest the research funders, so that they can see a new world. And if we can make young people responding to it warmly, researchers will turn around and support it, because this is something that is a concrete, that the young people are liking it, and young people needs help in designing things and doing things, all kinds of assistance programs that you can come, or follow-up programs. What are they doing? What can they do? Why they have joined? Who are the people who joined it. Why did they join? What was their calculation? Is it temporary? Their enthusiasm will die up after first 2 weeks, or it will get farmed up. These are matters of study. Why young people are interested in 3-0s. What do they understand about 3-0s? What are they going to do? Whether 3-0 clubs starts very well with enthusiasm, but before it's 6 months, 9 months, it disappears. It's just a name hanging around, no activity left. So these are the things that we can see what is missing, what needs to be done. So this can give you a good research topic for submitting to the research organizations to draw their attention. So these are the 2 things new. I hope you can look at them. Of course, you'll look at many other issues, but these 2 things I thought I'll draw your attention. And please have a great discussion and benefit from it in our activities when we go back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Yunus, for your words. Now I kindly call upon our moderator for the session today, Professor Pradeep K. Rai, Director, Center for Entrepreneurship, University of Michigan, Shanghai, Jiaotong University, China. Professor Pradeep, please take the floor.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here, Professor Yunus and the entire team, Lamia and entire team. I would like to thank them for inviting me to this session. Whenever I come back to Social Business Day or Social Business Academic Conference, I see the quality and the systems improving day by day. That's quite heartening to see. Today, I'm going to initially share with you my experience of running a research center in a major university. It's a multidisciplinary research center. And as Professor Yunus mentioned, that sustenance of any center or any research activity is a major issue, and how we can leverage the collaboration across institutions, within countries, across countries, to support that. And that is something I'm going to discuss based on a case study of a multidisciplinary research center, research initiative. I'm going to briefly talk about it. And the next important factor is highly committed students. A practical subject like social business usually attracts good students, just that we have to take care of their funding, etc., their scholarships, etc. And that also, if we get good committed students, we can get high quality publications and citations as well. So basically, this project, this initiative, we call it Mobile Health or Mobile Healthcare using Mobile Technologies for Belt and Road countries initiative. It's involving 50 researchers in 25 institutions, 14 countries, and that includes 5 countries where YSBCs are involved in that. And this, we met every year since 2018 at an event called Entrepreneurship Week conference sponsored by IEEE. And in terms of funding, what we did was we used multilateral funding. That is, partners brought in funds for the first phase of the project. And therefore, we divided the project into 6, the whole initiative into 6 projects as listed here. First one was led by Europeans, the second one by Australians, third one was Japanese, fourth one was led by jointly by China and Bangladesh, and then the 5th one was led again by the Japanese team, Ashir Ahmed Naoki Nagashima, already here, and the last one was led by our Danish colleagues, Raghav Mukamala of Copenhagen Business School. And that led to a book that has been published in 2020 by IET Press in London, 25 chapters, 50 authors, and the book has been distributed over 6 sections, and each section has got chapters and members from multiple countries as listed here. So what we have learned from this project is that it's possible to take up a major project across countries through collaborations, and if everybody chips in with some contribution, some funding. For example, our Australian partners brought in funds from Australian Research Council, our European partners brought in funds from EU and Denmark funds. Similarly, from China, we brought in funds from the Chinese sources and so on. So that way, we have been able to complete the project in a very short time. We start in 2 years' time, and that led to this completion as well. So, and the work, another thing I would like to reflect on involving 3 Zeros Club in this context, in the YSBCs. Typically, YSBCs are located in individual universities, and every university has got its own rules. And therefore, if we have to involve any researchers or any team there, they would prefer us to involve team members from the same university, whether they're graduate level students, postgraduate or undergraduate, does not matter. But they have to be from that university. On the other hand, I found that through this experience, if we work as a network involving multiple universities from multiple countries, then the rules are much more flexible, because there is always exchange available between students from Australia and Bangladesh and China, and then the regulatory hurdles break down as well. And that's my experience, and probably would help us in taking this further in terms of the 3 Zeros Club involvement in YSBCs. As suggested by Professor Yunus, the major enablers of 3 Zeros are young minds, technology, and innovative governance. While young minds and technology are quite obvious, and all of us understand young people are technology savvy, there's no problem about that. However, governance is something which typically involves so-called wise old people. And that is where my suggestion is to involve young people, so that we don't go back. That's the no going back can be achieved with the innovative ideas that young students or young people can bring to the forefront. And we can tackle them in the context of different challenges facing, like COVID-19, climate change, demographic changes, and of course, on the geopolitical tensions that the world is seeing these days. So my suggestion is that we involve young minds not only for technology and their initial ideas, but also from thinking about new models of governance. All of us are wedded to the idea of democratic ways of governance, but we have seen there are so many shortcomings, and hopefully the young minds can help us develop better forms of governance of these practices. Thank you very much. So we'll now go to the first speaker. We got this number of speakers from multiple continents. So, Zinat, would you be showing the speakers' names here? Because my slide had got the speakers' names.
Let me just pull up my screen. Yes. So first, we would like to call upon Professor Carlos Restrepo, who's from the Universidad Externado de Colombia. Professor Carlos.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon in Kampala. Good evening in Dhaka. Professor Yunus, Professor Pradeep, dear colleagues from around the world. It is a pleasure for me to be here. I am honored to be here with you, sharing some experiences about the collaborative research initiatives in Colombia that we have had around these issues of social businesses. I would like to start by sharing a few ideas about this. In Colombia, we have had different conditions First of all, the School of Management at Universidad Externada de Colombia is in charge of different research lines. One of those is corporate social responsibility, entrepreneurship, and also we are interested in topics about sustainability. In our country, those issues are very important. Colombia is a country with more than 45 million people that has access to the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. This makes the country a very rich country with great natural resources, well, but also with great propensity to suffer conflicts and violence originated in the struggle for the resources between national and international actors. In that sense, we could say that Colombia it's a country of contrasts. For example, last year, CO2 emissions were more than 86,000 kilotons. The Gini coefficient is around 0.51, which makes us a very poor country on the one hand. Also, almost 42% of the population, around 21 million, are below the poverty line, if we measure that by income. And in the last year, due to the pandemic problem, we have had an unemployment rate of 15%. Those problems are increasing, especially during the last 2 years, especially for the pandemic impact, the impact of this problem. On the other hand, we have very important issues like the potential that Colombia has and the opportunities that Colombia has beyond natural resources. For example, we have opportunities to export services in high and medium complexity health services, agro-industry, biopharmaceuticals, tourism, and custom design and fashion. In that sense, and that is why we decided to undertake some research initiatives founded with international resources with the Yunus Business Center, Social Business Center, in which we had the support of, for example, Professor Jahangir Chaudhry. The first initiative is a project about the impact that social business have had and how these social businesses have contributed to consolidation of peace in Colombia. As you know, most of the in the country, we have had a conflict for more than 50 years, but recently the country signed a peace agreement with the oldest armed group in America, which fought against Colombian government for more than 50 years, mainly affecting most vulnerable populations in the rural areas of the country, causing poverty and millions of displaced people. However, today, those former members of the organizations have entered the civil life and they have created social businesses, generating decent ways of contributing to the peace. That is why we are now doing a research project with them. The second one is a project that analyzes the impact of microcredit and the contribution that microcredit is doing to solving poverty problems. The other project is one paper about the measurement of the contribution and the performance of social enterprises. And this paper goes beyond the traditional economic approaches and allows a more holistic view. And the fourth one, finally, is a project about entrepreneurship and how entrepreneurship is contributing to overcoming poverty and helping people with limited resources, especially because in Colombia, as in many developing countries, entrepreneurship is associated with necessity, not necessarily opportunity. Okay, those are the four research initiatives, the joint research initiatives that we have had with the Yunus Center during the last year. Thank you very much.
Vinod.
Yes, now we would like to call upon Professor Mai Thai from HEC Montreal, Canada. Professor Mai, are you able to hear us?
Let me share my screen. So first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you what we are doing. And also would like this to be a call for collaboration. So I am a professor at HEC Montreal where I teach innovation and entrepreneurship. I am the founder and director of the program called Social Business Creation, in which we train participants how to use market mechanisms to create to solve social challenges and create social impacts. And in this program, we realized that there is a huge lack of material that can be used to train students in this matter. And so that's why we've been expanding our network of partnership with different universities. So you see here is our main page at socialbusinesscreation.hec.ca, and you see the events we are having. And then, so all around, so here, these are our officer partners around the world. So we have from Bangladesh, like Daffodil University. From Brazil, we have Yunus. From Argentina, we have Austria. From Germany, we have THI. From Mexico, we have Veracruzana and Anahuac. And from Vietnam, that'll be Foreign Trade University. And Foreign Trade University will be expanding with us to other countries in the Southeast Asia. So that will be our regional hub. So through this collaboration, what we do here is we have 3 levels of collaboration. So level 1 is just on training. So the training here is that SBC is a leader in terms of pedagogical development. So SBC is a hub for pedagogical development. And we localize, so we work with partner universities to localize the content. And then, so here, partners, localized contents. And of course, SBC provides training. We call training of the trainers for the teachers from our partners. And level 2 of collaboration here is training and research. You see well my screen, right? Okay, great. Because I hear some voices rumbling in the back, so I thought that you cannot see. So in level 2 in training and research, of course, that would all the thing that we do training, but we'll try to develop new material. So the SBC and the partners, SBC plus the partner. So what we do is that we conduct research together. We identify needs and develop the pedagogical material together. So we develop pedagogical material together. And of course, also we will work on publication. So pedagogical materials are like textbooks, case studies, etc., where we also create research, basic research for publication. And so here, what we do is that we facilitate mobility of faculty members. So we host researchers from our partner universities to come to Montreal for the term determined by the project that we agree together that could range between 3 months to even 2 years. So when the researchers from our partner university come to Montreal, so we'll arrange for them co-working space and then audit our research workshops, and also some of our postdoctoral and doctoral consortium and training programs. And at level 3, so here the partner is really a hub. So at the present, we have 2 universities, Hanoi in Hanoi. So Foreign Trade University is our hub. So it's really the partner is our clone. So the partner will also work with other universities to recruit them and to train them and localize the content. And so Foreign Trade Universities is our regional hub. And so Foreign Trade University will recruit universities from Laos, Cambodia, Singapore, etc. And then, so we work like a triangle. So you will see that SBC and you see the hub and work with a regional partner. So the reason, so here you will see that collaboration. So the hub represent SBC to work with the regional hub. And then we still see direct collaboration here. And through this collaboration, we apply for different grants. So for example, there is a transatlantic grant where we can apply with our German and Brazilian partners. And there are also programs like MITAX. So MITAX here. So where we could have students, international students, to participate in our research programs. So I really hope that you get interested in our SBC program, and we can continue the conversations to develop our partnership for both training and research and other program developments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mai Tai. Now I call upon Professor Giuseppe from the University of Bologna, Italy. Professor Giuseppe Terluccio.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you the experience in terms of research and teaching from the Yunus Social Business Center at the University of Bologna. I would like to share my screen. So now you can see, can you see my screen?
Not yet, Professor. It's a, yes, now we can see.
Yes, thank you. We created the Yunus Social Business Center almost a couple of years ago. And the complexity of the University of Bologna is pretty huge because there are a large number of students, a large number of faculty members, more than 4,000 if you consider a full professor, a social professor, and researcher, and almost 500 PhD students spread over a different research area, from engineer, social science, economics, literature, health, and so on. So the Yunus Social Business Center would like to be a kind of common language between different research areas. So one of the first goal of this center is to create a kind of connection between different areas. University of Bologna has a specific institution inside where we can work for European projects. And we have one area called social science and humanities. And there we can find the common ground where we can propose a social business idea between different research areas. To be more specific, we have 4 areas related to research. And as you can see on the screen, we can have B Corp and benefit corporations, impact investing, migrants and diversity, and tech for good. So those are the mainstream strictly related to the Yunus Social Business Center. At the same time, we have a large number of research papers and research projects between different departments, engineer, health, and so on. Social science and humanities area try to put together to collapse different interests to apply for different European projects where we can get money to support researchers, grants, database, and so on. If we move directly to the B Corp and Benefit Corporation, you can see that we have 3 current projects. The first one is related to governance and accountability of Benefit Corporation. As you can imagine, in Italy, we have a different kind of organization based on social impact and cooperatives and so on. So there is a pretty strong tradition in terms of social impact of different kind of organization. So when we put together business and social, we can deal with different kind of bodies, different kind of entities, different kind of corporates, where they can try to implement the social issue and the business models that they use. So the benefit corporations try to implement the social business idea in business model related to profits. So they try to serve some social aspect of the society with a specific area or with a specific product and services. So there is a large stream of research in this area that comes from eco department, management departments, and a social science department. We can also study the impact of the pandemic issues on the benefit corporations, how they evolve, how they try to implement a new culture shift, and when they try to get more sustainable economy. In our research center, of course, we can use the Yunus definition of 3 zeros. So 3 zeros is pretty wide definition, and we can embrace different kind of areas. So we can also consider SDGs and how SDGs and B Corp they can work together. If we move to the financial direction, we can see also the impact investing. We create an observatory where we can see how asset managers are interested in investors, as interest as firms. They try to pursue the social impact. As the same for impact capital and social business venture capital. As you remember, is an idea that was raised at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. We are also interested in a migration issue. As you know, Italy is one part of Europe very exposed to this kind of opportunity. So we have a European project, MigrantCube is one of that, where we can use a methodology to create incubators able to foster the ability of the migrants to open a new firm. And Tech for Good is related to the technology, how the technology can be used to aim to the social impact results. So we have technology, social ventures, we have a couple of researchers working on that, and a social mission platform. In this area, some people from engineering department and computer science department work with us and show with different research, different top journal papers of the technology can help young people to get the good things, to get the social business model for our society.
Thank you very much, Professor Giuseppe, about sharing about the activities of your center. Now I kindly call upon Professor Didier Chabot from IAE Sorbonne and in France. Professor Didier.
Thanks a lot. And hello, everybody. And it's a great pleasure to be here with you. And thanks a lot for inviting me and enabling me to discuss with colleagues from all over the world. Perhaps I will try to manage the time because I know we are quite short. And you know this the idea. Perhaps I will start with only a few words on FAN. We are all fans from Professor Yunus. And in fact, what is FAN? FAN is in fact the French academic networks, which has been created, you know, French, as you hear probably, are not very good in English. And so generally we speak French. And so we have decided to try to arrange cooperations between colleagues from all the French context and French-speaking context, specifically with Jean-Luc Perron. And the idea was to create a network trying to mobilize all the researchers, all the scholars in France around the topic of social business, and also to arrange cooperation about research, but also education, and I would say action, because we want to try to promote social business in reality to other students and every people. And so if I go to my research center in Sorbonne, I would say that probably we have two main dimensions. So the first one, okay, we have a center around social business, and I would say that probably we are more insisting on the idea of social business and entrepreneurship. Social business entrepreneurship, saying that we are really interested in the process of creation, venturing process of creating social business. And it's really one of the specificities, I would say, of our action, because we would like to investigate these dynamics. Perhaps the second specificity is that we are working a lot on territories. You know, territories, it's quite a specific term, because we can say regional or local or place-based entrepreneurship, because we observe in France that there is a strong inequalities between areas. We have a part of France that is faced with diminishing population, diminishing jobs, and so they need to reinvent themselves in order to create jobs and to promote 000. And so we decided to work on this issue, saying that in some point there is the arrival of what we can call territory social business, with a specific change, because at the beginning we observed that a lot of associations, non-profit associations, living mainly from subsidies, now decide to create jobs to promote environmental and social issues by creating business. And we try to track this point and to develop a research program on this, because we observed that they have created several thousand, 10,000 of jobs over the last 10 years. And so we are working on this point, trying to understand how can social business and territory social business can promote local development in specific regions in France. Second point is to try to contribute with social business to the reinvention, recreation of cities, with a concept I will not develop, saying that in order to improve urban life, we have to propose all the services around 15 minutes around your home. So, you know, there are these points, and to do that, we promote a lot of projects. First one, we try to promote dissemination of knowledge, and we are realizing some small books on social business in order to present all the initiatives that are made by all the colleagues, but also classical research production. And perhaps just to finish on that, we have launched a book project on social business in the world with an international editor that is East and Wiley, with an interesting point in our opinion, that is to say that we will try to promote a collection of essays on social business, and they will be published both in French and in English. And so it will be one only book, and we will have the opportunity to have this book published, translated in the two languages. And also on place-based and territory social-based entrepreneurship, a special issue from a review. So thanks a lot for each of you, and thanks a lot for your interest.
Thank you very much for sharing about the activities of your center. I hope all the YSBCs in our network and beyond can all collaborate and work together on this initiative. Now I would kindly call upon Professor Jacob from Leuphana University. Your comments, please. Professor Jacob.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here and represent our Yunus Center at Leuphana University in Germany today. And if I say our Yunus Center, I not only refer to myself, but this is basically the structure of our Yunus Center. So I'm one of the 3 directors of the Leuphana Yunus Center together with Michael Gielnick and Markus Reilen. But we also are very glad to have an advisory board, including some of you who are here as well today. I've already seen Lamia, and I think I've also seen Dom. So welcome, and thanks again for your support in the advisory board of our center. We have cooperation with researchers and practitioners. These are our fellows. So we have fellows from academia and fellows from practice, so founders of social businesses. And we have a board of sponsors that is yet to grow because we are a relatively young center. So you're all cordially invited to sponsor us and to join our board of sponsors. No, just kidding. So as I've said, we are a relatively new center. The cooperation with Professor Yunus started some years ago. I admit then it took too long to get formally founded and equipped with staff, but now we are really running for a bit more than 1 year. And I was asked to today talk about acquiring funding. That is indeed a key challenge for us. And one reason for that is exactly the reason that Professor Yunus stated in the beginning, that topics such as social business, I would add also the 0 carbon emissions target, all they are not rooted in disciplines. And at least in Germany, funding is very much oriented in academic disciplines, and all these very interesting topics for social business, for Yunus centers, I would argue, are really interdisciplinary in nature. So that is indeed a challenge. However, we have found a way to address this challenge by selectively picking upon calls for projects which directly match our expertise and that have indeed an application component, so that we do not only do research, but that we also try to create real change in society. And here on the slide, I've presented one of the many projects that we have running, and that is the project Social Innovation Thinkathon. It was the first project that was also formally acquired by the Yunus Center that we have here at Leuphana University, which was great because it allowed us to employ additional staff. So we have one research assistant, Frederick. I think you're not here, otherwise you could say hello as well, who's managing the center. Now we have an additional research assistant only working for the center, and she's responsible for that project. This project is called Social Innovation Thinkathon. So like a hackathon in the internet, a thinkathon aims at a collaboration between different people to digitally create knowledge and to develop solutions to social problems. That is integrated in a master, in a module for all our master students at Leuphana University. They can all choose this module. And that is one example of how we try to circumvent the challenge that issues such as social business are not yet on the list of funders, because the call that we addressed here was for innovative teaching. And we said, yes, we'll be good at innovative teaching. And then we said, then we'll create a module fitting to social business for this specific call, which is simply entitled for innovative teaching. Another project that we have started, Frederick and the others could tell you more about it, is to set up a social impact incubator here in the north of Germany. And as time is running, just one very last insight of the output of our research projects. So this is one of the research results, a journal paper that we've just published this year. It has the title Diversity Matters, the influence of gender diversity on environmental orientation of entrepreneurial ventures. In this paper, we researched how gender of founders influences the environmental orientation of their ventures. That is, whether, for example, they aim at contributing innovatively to a zero carbon society. And previously, it was assumed in research that females rather found environmentally oriented. And that's why I also tell this story here at the Yunus Center, because I think it nicely links to the idea of the Grameen Bank that organizations, businesses founded by women differ. What we found indeed is that in founding teams, so if businesses are founded by multiple individuals, it is not the case that the higher the share of females, the higher the environmental orientation, but the higher the gender diversity, the higher the environmental orientation. That is at least what we found in our sample of the US and Germany. Why am I telling you this? Just to show that, yes, we look for funding, and we look for funding which also has a transfer component, which really creates real change in the world. But we also aim to end up with top publications then. And that's what I wanted to say to you today, and show on the last slide a picture of the first steps of our Yunus Center when we signed the contracts with Professor Yunus. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Since we're pressed for time, I'll just call upon the next speaker, and then we can have maybe a final concluding conversation guided by Professor Pradeep Rai. Now I kindly call upon Professor Waswa Balunia, who's the principal of Makerere Business School. Professor Balunia.
Thank you very much, Zinat. I must say we've not advanced as much as the other institutions have done. Makerere University Business School is the largest school in the region, and we have two entrepreneurship units. One is a center and one is a department. The department has the academic programs. Our Entrepreneurship Innovation and Incubation Center is one which is really fostering social business. What we've done so far is that we've been able to have two PhDs in social business, one in social business, one in social entrepreneurship. And we have already been training various young people in the area of social business. We are the custodians of a club of young people in social business. And what we are doing at the center is we are looking for research funds. Our university annually puts up money for research, and the center gets a certain amount of money for its research activities. And we encourage staff from the entrepreneurship department, the academic department, and some of the staff from the center to be able to apply for these funds. So far, it's been slow, but we've had some work done in social business, especially working with women in the countryside. We are privileged that when Professor Muhammad Yunus visited Uganda several years back, he was able to meet with some of these women who are being promoted and by the center to improve their businesses as social businesses. The pandemic now is revealing more of the need for social business to take ground. And I think the concept of the 3 zeros is an area where we think that we should be able to contribute as we go. We think that research funds, which come from our government annually, they give it to our main university, our parent university, and our staff do apply for funds. We have encouraged in our discussions of social business, we have encouraged various people to be able to apply for these funds so that we can continue to explore and discover the area of social business. As been said, this is very, very fundamental in areas where we have massive poverty, like in our countries, and for us to be able to make a change, create employment, give incomes to people, I think this is the way to go. So we hope that at some stage, possibly this time next year, we should be able to showcase some of the work that we are doing and also possibly collaborations. We are seeking collaboration with Mount Kenya University in Kenya. I think they are on this call this afternoon. We should be able to work together in the area of social business. Thank you very much, and back to you, Zena.
Thank you very much, Professor Waswa. We look forward to collaborating with your institutions and, of course, bring all our YSBCs together and do many initiatives. Now, I would like to call upon Professor Carlos Gutierrez from the University of Cantabria in Spain to make some remarks.
Okay, good afternoon, Spain, for everybody. Let me share my screen. Okay, yeah, I'm very happy to be here with you and to present you our center in Cantabria. Cantabria is a small region in the north of Spain, for any of you that don't know the name. We're a young center. Professor Yunus were here 2 years ago in summer to begin with the center, but 6 months later the pandemic came and we have a lot of restrictions in Spain, so it's been a hard time. But anyway, we are working in 2 lines of research, mainly social entrepreneurship and social impact of corporations. Like our colleagues on Bologna, we are working in B Corps too. Let me tell you a bit what we are doing, and let me finish with an example of a project we are beginning now with different sponsorship. We are a member of the GEM project, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. It's a global project about entrepreneurship, but not social entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship in general. It backs to 1999, and every year there is a questionnaire trying to analyze the entrepreneurial behavior around the world. But in 2009 and 2015, there were 2 special issues about social entrepreneurship. To give you an idea of the scope of the project, in 2015, we have information about 58 countries and almost 170,000 people interviewed with a huge questionnaire. Well, we are struggling since 2015, trying to include information about social entrepreneurship every year, not with special issues. We achieved that in the questionnaire of this year, in 2021. We will have different questions to identify social entrepreneurs, and we will have these questions every year. So we have information of social entrepreneurship around the world every year. Any of you don't know the project and want some information, you can ask me, and I will share with you what the project is. But what we are doing with this information is trying to establish a categorization of social entrepreneurs. We have some papers published about it, but we want to go beyond and try to establish a taxonomy where the social entrepreneurs can fit themselves. But sometimes the classifications we have in the academia, then when you talk with social entrepreneurs, I don't feel identified with any of the classifications you have. I am not one of them, but I am a social entrepreneur, but I'm different. So we are working with different associations here in Spain of social entrepreneurs, trying to match the classification from the academia, there is no consensus about this classification, and what they think, and trying to have a better explanation of the behavior of the social entrepreneurs. On the other line is the social impact of companies. In many countries, it's arising the idea of the companies have to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, that have to have social impact. In Spain, there is a proposal to have a legal recognition for companies with social impact, like they have in Italy. And we have a colleague that is doing the PhD about the B Corp movement, trying to analyze if the companies know this movement, the factors that influence when they joined it, the effects that the certification has of the behavior of the companies, if they are trying to achieve a better world, if they are contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals. We are in the first steps because it's a PhD student, but we have a lot of hopes in this line of research. But let me finish with an example of a project, and when we are trying to union both sides, companies that want to have a social impact and social entrepreneurship. We're working with Amica, an association of special employment centers of people with disabilities. They give a lot of services to these people, and we are trying to establish a triple alliance between Mapfre, is the biggest insurance company in Spain, Repsol Foundation. Repsol is an oil company, the biggest oil company in Spain. And ONCE Foundation. ONCE is the national organization for blinded people, trying to integrate blinded people into society. Well, we're trying to match the interests of these foundations and companies that are interested in entrepreneurship for people with disabilities, and with each association, Amica, and we'll try to have a consultancy between them and trying to match their interests on obtaining funds. The problem in Spain is everybody is waiting for the bailout of European Union, it's very difficult to find funds now. I imagine it's in every country in Europe is more or less the same. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Carlos. Now I kindly call upon Professor Elisabetta Regini from the University of Urbino, Italy. Professor Regini.
Good afternoon from Italy, and thank you for inviting me to present the activity of our Yunus Center in Urbino. I tried to share some short slides, macro presentation. Our Yunus Social Business Center was inaugurated 2 years ago on 20 May 2019 on the occasion of the visit of Professor Muhammad Yunus to the University of Urbino. And since then, in these 2 years, despite the short time since the beginning of our activities and the restrictions resulting from the pandemic, we had the opportunity to carry out many projects, and especially collaboration projects. So I should say that collaboration is one of the key features of our center. Our first collaboration was with the Board of Education of the province of Pesaro Urbino for the realization of training courses for high school teachers on the subject of social business. Also, we collaborated with the ICREA Cooperative Banking Group. This is one of the greatest cooperative banking groups in Italy, and with Vita SPA is a social business that is the owner of the most important magazine specialized on the field of social business. And we organize training activities, seminars and webinars for the university students. And also we inserted these initiatives inside some more general initiatives related to financial education. We collaborated with the National Committee for Financial Education at the Italian Ministry of Finance, and also at the Global Money Week that was held in March 2021, organized by the OECD. I think that presenting social business as a tool for helping young people also to solve the problem of unemployment, so also as a tool for their financial well-being. And so putting the hat of financial education on this topic is very effective. It attracts a lot of interest because at least in Italy, financial education now is a subject of major interest. Among the economic activity. And also from the research point of view, we are organizing a conference, an international conference in Urbino, that will take place in May 2022, and in collaboration with the SPES Institute from Belgium. And SPES Institute is an institute that is specifically engaged in the field of what is called spiritual economy. And we are organizing this event. The title of the Congress is Place-Based Sustainability, Ethics and Spirituality, a call for a new economy serving life. And also we organize a pre-meeting online version last May, on May 20, 2021. The title of the pre-meeting was Nurturing the Place and its Communities. Also in 2020, we organized a collaboration with the other Italian social business centers, Florence, Bologna, Venice, Basilicata, and Urbino, and for the creation of the Italian network of Yunus centers. The first initiative was a cycle of webinars that was held in May 2020 on the theme of building a better world, with the participation also of Professor Yunus. But we have a very specific project that we are very proud of. And this project is called Business and Culture. Culture as an engine for economic and social development. And is a project that aims to enhance the many positive interactions between cultural initiatives and economic and entrepreneurial activities, focusing on ethical and moral aspects and the central role of human beings within the economic system. These for us are the key concepts, moral, ethics, and human beings at the center of the economic activities. And so we, organize different cultural activities, but we have a project that is going on at the moment, and is a new lyric opera that we are trying to put on stage. This is the picture of the artistic director of our project. That is, she's a soprano singer, and we wrote a new opera. The lyrics are by Felicia Bongiovanni and by me. The music by a composer from Pesaro Urbino, Stefano Bartolucci. The title is I Dimenticati. It means the forgotten people, the discarded people, and is about the actual situation, post-pandemic situation. And the opera is inspired by the words of Professor Yunus on not going back, and the teaching on Pope Francis of the economy of waste. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Elizabeth Regini. Now I would give the floor to Professor Pradeep Rai if you would want to ask any questions to the speakers.
Thank you very much, all the speakers, for your excellent presentations. I have two questions which I have listed in the chat box here. First question is, given the fact that YSBCs are multidisciplinary in nature, how would you attract funding for social business? I'll give you two possible answers, or maybe more, at least two answers. One would be to go through the normal scientific funding route, like, we've got National Science Foundations or ARC or Social Science Foundations, or go to industry. There could be a third option as well. So I'm just asking this first question, two options. And the second question is, what is the publication strategy given all top journals are discipline based? So would you rather develop a separate journal for social business, or you'd like to submit your paper to the journal of your discipline, however, focusing on social business application? So anybody, maybe Jacob has first pointed out, so I would like to ask him to give his feedback on this.
Thank you very much. At least I can try. Concerning the journals, I think it is very, very, very hard to set up an own journal or a new journal. On the other hand, in the midterm and long term, obviously that would be the ideal strategy. So if you ask me for my vision for the long run, I would say yes, that would be what I would love to see. Could I then recommend PhD students, for example, to submit to that journal right now? Not with a good conscience, because it will take some time to establish such a journal. So what I would recommend as the pragmatist short-term version would be to, for example, use disciplinary journals rooted in the field of entrepreneurship. We experience that they are very much open towards all issues of social business or wider forms of social entrepreneurship, sustainable entrepreneurship. But I completely agree with your implicit statement that it would be brilliant to have a social business journal, which is among the top journals in the long run. I want to be realistic that it's a good long run vision, and that in between we need to find pragmatic strategies. And let me add this one thing: I think it will also be necessary in the long run, because we want to reach out. We want to reach the mainstream debate. And the downside of a separate journal for social business is it will then be read by the social business community. But if we want to convince mainstream management scholars, mainstream entrepreneurship scholars of the ideas of social business, it is important to speak their language. It's important to enter their debate, to enter their discourses. So I would say in the ideal world, both would happen, and both has its pragmatic challenges. Let's not say it's a limitation. Let's say it's a challenge that we should accept, but we shouldn't forget about the conventional journals.
About the first question, what's your answer? Would you prefer to go to industry for funding, or stick to the normal funding sources for research funding?
Also for me, luckily I need to admit that in Germany we have something in between. There's a hybrid. So the National Science Foundation, I need to admit, they're completely stuck in their disciplines and not in creating real world change. So that cannot be the way to go for us. However, there are some additional foundations rooted partly in industry, rooted partly also in national government bodies, but not the National Science Foundation. And these hybrids, they are most rewarding for us, at least concerning the projects that we have already acquired.
Excellent. Any other speakers would like to speak on? Just unmute yourself and address your views.
Yes, Professor. Maybe I would like to go back to the discussion about the publication strategy. I think that it is very important for the field to start the consolidation of this concept of social business in the literature. In that sense, it is necessary to have more citations and have more publication in journals, not only specialized, but also in journals that are multidisciplinary journals, because the more citations and the more papers published using this concept, we can have more consolidation of this new construct in the literature. And then, as also Jacob mentioned, in the middle and long term, we could think about creating maybe a more specialized community and academic community to discuss deeper aspects of social businesses. So in the short term, it is very important to consolidate the construct in the literature and in the publication system, because that way it is more relevant. Right now, it is much more difficult to find papers. In searching papers, it is much more difficult to find. So in the short term, to consolidate the construct, I think.
What about the funding sources? Would you prefer the standard funding sources or industry or other types of funding sources?
Yes, in the Latin American region, it is very special because our region is a laboratory to study most of these issues. And I think that by now, the main source of financial resources for us is the international funding, not the local funding. I think it is more relevant by now to find resources in other countries that want to study and want to understand how to develop social businesses in this particular context, like Colombia or other Latin American countries. So in my perception is that in the short term for Colombian and Latin American countries, it is much better to find resources abroad. Yes.
Thank you. Excellent. Any other speaker wants to address these topics? Yes, Dr. Maitai. Yes, please.
You're on
Dr.
mute.
Maitai.
Hello? Oh, all right. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, from our experience in Canada here, it's very, very hard to compete for traditional research funding agencies. So what we do here is we go with industry partners, because more and more companies now understand that they have to become greener, but they have never been trained to do that. Their managers went to business education, they learned the traditional way, and then they are badly in need of training materials. And so we team up with them, so it will be win-win. So it will help us in terms of research, but it's also the side effect of whatever research result we have will be beneficial for the industry partners. So for example, social business creation, we got $600,000 funding from Scotiabank, you know, a very traditional bank, and now they want to move ahead with social business development. And so, and our partner universities do the same thing. So instead of competing with traditional research funding sources, we go with industry partners.
Great. Your take on the publication strategy?
Well, so you know that we have like, if you imagine like this, you have consulting projects, right? But then when you sign consulting project, you agree with your clients that you are able to use the data, and that you can use for publication. And in terms of the venues where we could submit, but now you know that Journal Business Ethics is now the top journal, right? It's very much interested in social impact. If you look at Journal Business Venturing, the same thing. They are very interested in social impact publication. And Journal Business Research is the same thing. So I think that more and more top journals are interested in research about social impacts and even social business. But I don't think that I would advise my students to go to newer journals, just really dedicated to social business. As our colleagues said earlier, it will take some time to really become a top journal. So I was the editor-in-chief of Journal of Small Business and Entrepreneurship for 5 years, from 2015 to 2020. And during my term, I led the journal to unprecedented growth. But it's because we improved in our quality, and I did a lot of guerrilla marketing in order to get our journal to universities, and we get more and more professors to use our publication. So we have huge download, and if we compare the download rate of our journal versus the top ranking journal, is very comparable. We even have 9,000 download within a year from one article in our journal. So that's how we gradually increase in ranking. But from the two sides of the fence, I see it's really huge challenge. So before we were indexed in Scopus, I had huge difficulty convincing professors and researchers to publish with us. So it's only when we were indexed in Scopus, it's a lot easier. Yeah, but then it takes time. So, you know, 5 years under my term. So we went from indexed in a very only one or two databases, and now we were in a lot more, and we start having impact factors. So hopefully in the next 5 years, we'll get in a much higher ranking, and we get more researchers to publish. But I said that if you are really ambitious for the top publications, you still have to speak the language of the top journals. So it's like you are a social business, you sell to the audience who don't care about social impact. So for example, if you want to save the world by producing ethical packaging, for example. So when you pitch to the clients, you don't say that, now buy my product, you save the world. Rather, you have to speak the language, buy my product because it's cheaper or it functions better, etc. So I think it's the same strategy. Now we have to practice what we preach, right? So that's what we are telling social businesses to do, regardless of the interest of the clients. So try to speak their language and speak to what they are interested in. So I think that for when we sell our knowledge to journals, I think the same strategy holds.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else wants to chip in now? I have got two answers already in the chat box here. Anybody else wants to say something by unmuting?
Yes.
So we have got one. Yes, please. Yeah, Giuseppe.
Yes, it's not easy to write on the top journal, of course, because it's very challenging. But now we can see on that journal some article related to the social business, to the social in general. So we can convert a social issue in a social business. And it's going to be very attractive for the PhD students, because of course their career is related to 3-star or 4-star ABS ranking, the UK system. So they are not interested in other journals. So in the short term, we have to move them to the top journals. And maybe we can use the references to help other journals of our community to grow thanks to the citation of the top journals. But in our area, Journal of Financial Intermediation, Financial Economics, so the 4 stars ABS ranking, we can see paper related to the social impact and the social issues. I think another one is Journal of Business Ethics, because it's a top-rated journal. It is also in Financial Times ranking, Financial Times 50. And we have some specific award in money, I mean, for our scholars that are able to publish in that kind of journals. So there is also an incentive. It's not a social one, it's a profit incentive, but still helps young students to be very focused on that. Another consideration could be related to other association that is close to the Yunus Social Business Center. In our case, we have the Grameen Italian Foundation. So it's a private entity that can work with private rules. So it's more flexible than the university rules, because university is public. So you have some kind of loss of flexibility. And so we can get some projects, something between research and application. And there we can get the data to run interesting papers for the top journals. So sometimes the consulting stuff can allow us, whether European projects or consulting stuff, to collect data that can be very useful for top articles for the journals. So diversification strategy seems the best way to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giuseppe. We are run out of time. So Zinat is saying that we have to wind it up now. Thanks for the interesting discussion. Some of the answers are still on the chat. So I would welcome everybody to read them. And I give it back to Zinat now.
Thank you very much, Professor Pradeep, and to all our speakers. I would quickly like to wrap up this session, but before that, I would like to request Ms. Lamia Morshed to make some comments.
I have no comments, just to thank everybody for being here, for being part of Social Business Day. And since we are only meeting like this virtually and not at a conference where we would have time to talk to each other in the coffee break, I wanted to just take the opportunity to for you to say hello to Professor Jahangir and to Zinat and myself. We are the team on the Yunus Center side for the academic activities, and you know, we would encourage you to stay in touch with us about your activities and of course with each other. It's been such a wealth of information that we've heard, and we're very glad to have you connect with each other too. So that was all from my side, just to thank you again for joining us here today.
Thank you very much, Lamia Appu. Thank you again to all the academics who have joined for this session. We have one more plenary session, but before that, we'd like to play a video from YSB Global, a greetings video from YSB Global. I request the tech team to kindly play the video.
Hey, Professor Yunus. Hi from the YSB team all around the world. Everyone's waving. Great to see you. Like, some of us even have like branded Yunus Social Business t-shirts on for the occasion. We wish you a really, really happy birthday on the occasion of Social Business Day. And we know you never really want presents, so it's all about new initiatives coming out of Social Business Day. So I hope a lot of things will be announced as presents for your birthday. We wish you a lovely, lovely day, and big hugs from all around the world from the YSB team. So 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday! Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much to all the speakers, panelists, and our moderator for the session. We'll continue our conversation through email and our events that are coming up. The Social Business Academia Conference, where a lot of research papers will be presented. So we look forward to your support to get many, many students, many, many academics present papers in that event. So thank you very much. We'll again see you.